inland fish are the most threatened group of animals used by humans. So here we have an extremely threatened resource that provides incredible amounts of food security, livelihood, and economic opportunity to people around the world. In developing countries, about 60 million people are involved in some way or another in fishing or processing or selling. And this is all with inland fisheries. And about half of those, or around 30 million people, are women. So it's an incredible resource that provides food security at a global scale.
Throughout my lifetime, I've seen two phases of the inland fisheries. As I grew up in upstate New York on the Great Lakes, I saw a real demise of the Great Lakes fisheries due to pollution and invasive species, and a rejuvenation of the Great Lakes ecosystem due to active human involvement in making habitat better for fish and providing for better knowledge base for management activities to take care of.
Well, this conference is needed because clearly inland fisheries have not received the same attention as marine fisheries. Inland fisheries are critical to food security, especially in the developing world. And without sort of bringing attention to the problems in managing inland fisheries in conjunction with the other habitat needs of inland water systems and the uses of inland water, for example, for agriculture or hydropower or other things, clearly making informed decisions about how we go forward to assure sustainability with these critical sources of food are going to not adequately incorporate all of the important value of these fisheries.
The problems from facing inland fisheries are, some of them are from within the sector. There's overfishing, there's too much capacity, and there's some destructive fishing techniques. However, probably the majority of the impacts come from outside the sector and have to do with ecosystem degradation, pollution, loss of habitat, and this comes from basically human-induced activities. Dam development, irrigation, draining of wetlands for other kinds of development activities.
Inland fisheries sustainability is being compromised by a variety of stresses, hydropower development, land use change, governments that may not have the capacity, the scientific capacity to understand those issues and how they affect things. We may, as a science community, not know good answers to some of these questions or have good decision models to help them with. So what AFS is going to try to do with this is to act to support the development of this better science, to act as a vehicle to help with FAO and the other partners to ensure that people are aware of the science, can utilize it, and can incorporate it into decision-making processes in a way that will help them ensure that they can balance out the needs for development issues, which are real, alongside the need to conserve these resources that provide an invaluable, in some cases, a resource to the local communities. Plus also to recognize that there's others values to these, development of recreational fisheries, the tourism component of this that they may not have realized. Or things like the ecological services that these systems provide that they may not be accounting for in their decision-making processes.
This conference is important because throughout my lifetime, having experienced both the demise and the impacts that humans have on aquatic resources by land use practices, I noted that we can destroy our resource, but we can also protect our resource and improve it. And I had been able to see the differences when people got involved in maintaining and taking ownership for their waterways and their fisheries, as opposed to having benign neglect. When they got engaged and people started to worry about water quality and fisheries, it was amazing what people could actually do that would maintain the fishery resources and make it a very prosperous and improve the quality of life in our area. So I believe that a meeting like this is to not only to talk about problems that we have, but it's about the importance that when you destroy resources, you're destroying many more things. You're destroying the waterways, you're destroying the people's livelihood, you're destroying food and nutritional aspects of local communities, and really having great social disruption. It's all linked together, and that we can do something.
Scientists from around the world working together is absolutely necessary if we're going to learn from each other in order to advance the best science to make decisions. We in the developed world often have some tools and other things that people can use that haven't maybe made its way out into the developing world. Secondarily, we can learn very much from the developing world scientists and what are the real needs of the citizens of their lands, and how would they actually view these fisheries in conjunction with other things and other uses of the water system. So without bringing people together, I'm not sure how we actually share information to make informed decisions about managing the inland fisheries of the world.
The reason I'm excited about the conference is that we need to raise the profile of inland fisheries. We don't really know how many fish are being taken, and the reason is that a lot of the activity is small scale. They're dispersed throughout different river systems and different parts of lakes and reservoirs. They're collected by children and women in rice fields. So we really have a very poor understanding of what's being collected. So this conference will help raise the profile of that sector. We want to document how many fish and what kinds of fish are being collected. The conference will also look at what is the economic value of those fish, not in terms of maybe international trade, but in terms of local trade and, probably more important, local food security and nutritional security. About 1 million people are being added to the earth every 5 days. By 2050, we'll have 9 billion people. Those people are going to have to eat something, and we want them to eat fish. Marine fisheries are plateaued, probably not going to get a whole lot more production from marine fisheries. Aquaculture certainly will play a role, but there's concerns about developing aquaculture. And we really think that inland fisheries has been neglected as a real strategy to help meet those future food needs of 9 billion people.
I'm just really excited that the UN through FAO has chosen to take this as an important area that we can make a difference on, and that it is global in perspective, because while we may be affected closely by our local areas immediately, ultimately it's the global areas that reflect how we're going to end up.